everyone, welcome back to the session of English. In this session of English grammar, we are going to continue with our chapter determiners. Now, this is part 8 of determiners. So, let's begin with this session and let us see that what we are going to discuss in this session. In this session, we will discuss the uses of most, then mostly, and then many and much. So, all these are determiners which we are going to elaborate in this session. So, let's begin this session. First, we'll discuss the word most. The meaning of most and the usage of the with most can actually vary depending on the context. Vary means change. Now, most is somewhere related to when something is at the highest level, okay, or something which is in large in number or which is largest in number. So that refers to most. But if we use most along with the determiner the, okay, it means if we add the before the word most, this can be used in different and various contexts. What are the following contexts that we are going to discuss later in the session? First of all, let us discuss the meaning of most. Most as nearly all. If I talk about the word most, that what does it mean? It means basically nearly all. For example, if I say most of the students, it means I am talking about almost all the students, not all the students, but almost all the students. In some context, most indeed means nearly all or the majority of. It means many of them, okay, or a majority of. Most people enjoy music. Now, most people means that many people are there. In fact, mostly the peoples are mostly the people they like or they enjoy music. Okay, so most means a majority of. For example, if there are 50 people and I'm talking about majority, so they can be more than 40. Okay. Here it implies that a large majority, but not necessarily all. Now, just keep this thing in mind. When we say the word most, it means most part of it, but we cannot say the entire part. Okay. So it is somewhere less than entire. Okay. So you can say most is somewhere less than all. Okay. But it is up to the highest level. Maybe possible it takes all, or maybe possible it only leaves one. Okay. Now let us move to the next one. Usage of the plus most or the with most. Without the, first of all, let us see without the what happens. When most is used without the, it generally refers to a large portion or majority of a group or quantity. Most students passed the exam. Here, a majority of students passed, but not necessarily all. Okay, but if I say the most, so when we use the most, it is actually refers to the superlative degree of adjective. Now, with the, we have discussed without the, now we'll discuss the concept of with the. When most is used with the, it means the is the determiner as well as article, definite article. It often signifies the superlative degree or superlative form of adjective. Okay, so this signifies superlative degree of adjective. Okay, as I told you, that superlative degree of adjective is when we compare one to all and we say that this is at the highest or the topmost point or the deepest point. So that can be the superlative degree of adjective. Now, example, she is the most talented singer in the competition. It means if you talk about the competition, there was no other singer which was more talented than her. Okay, so there was no other singer who was more talented than her. That is why I have said she's the most talented. So most talented is actually the superlative degree of adjective before which we need to put the necessarily. It is mandatory to put the before the superlative degree of adjective. For example, I can say the tallest, the most beautiful, the most intelligent, the most talented, like this. In this case, the most is used to indicate that she is at the top of the list of talented singers in that specific context. Okay, so top of the list, because whenever we talk about the word most means up to the highest, okay, or which is at the extreme end. Okay, now let us move to the next one. Comparative or superlative context. The most is most commonly used in comparative or superlative context to denote the highest degree in a group or category. The most important issue here is safety. So again, we are talking about that particular issue which is the most important. It means nothing is more important than this. Okay. The use of the most indicates the safety is at the highest level of importance compared to other issues. The issue of most as an adverb after a verb without or with or without the can indeed vary. Vary means change in meaning and usage. Let us clarify this with some detail. Most as an adverb without the. Now, whenever we use the word most as an adverb, here when we used it as the superlative degree of adjective, that was most as an adjective. Now, here we will discuss the word most as an adverb. Okay, indicating a high degree or extent. Now, when we discussed it as an adjective, it was, if it is was most, we have used the before it, and it was showing us that this is the most important thing. It means nothing is more important than that. So it was the superlative degree of adjective where it was up to the highest, sorry, not up to, but at the highest point of something or at the extreme end. But when we use it as an adverb, it indicates a high degree or extent. Okay, so we cannot say that it is on the highest point, but of course it is showing the high point or somewhere very high degree. When used as an adverb without the, most typically means to a very great degree. Okay, you can say to a very great degree or very much. She is valued most by her colleagues. Okay, now she is valued most, it means her colleagues value her most. Okay, it means she is very very important for them. So here most means very. Okay, so you can say very very, not only very, but very very. Okay, so if you cannot say very very very, instead you can say most. Okay, so in that case, okay, very up to many times. Now, one more thing is there. When we talk about very important questions, so we can say most important questions. Okay, but if I say the most important question, it means this is only the one question which is the most important, and no other question is as important as this one or more important than this one. But if I say most important questions, their most is an adverb because here these questions are very, very important. Okay, so in this manner, we can use the word most as an adverb. Here, most indicates that among various people, her colleagues value her to the greatest degree. Okay. Now, no superlative implication. In this usage of adverb, most doesn't necessarily imply the highest degree in a comparative or superlative sense. It is more about intensity or extent. So, as I told you before as well, that if most is used as the superlative degree, it shows the highest point. It means nothing is most, nothing is beyond it. But if I say most as an adverb, it is somewhere like which is the great, which is used as the greatest extent, but some other things can also come over here. Okay, so it is, you can say that this is very very important. However, this cannot be said that nothing is equal to this. Okay, now let us move to the next one. Now let me give you some examples. Suppose you have an exam. Okay, you have an examination you want to go to, you have to take that examination. Now, there are a few questions which your teacher make you mark, which your teacher made you mark that these are very important questions. So these are the most important questions. It means these questions are such importance, are of such importance that they will necessarily come in exam. So there can be few. So their most is somewhere an adverb. But if I say this is the most important question, it means no other question is more important than this or as important as this. It means this is on the highest level. So there we can use the word most as an adjective where we can put the before it to make it superlative degree of adjective. The superlative usage, when most is used as an adverb with the, it generally implies a superlative degree, indicating the highest extent of degree along comparable elements. As I told you, the most important questions. So here I'm saying the most important questions, but there I'm using the word most important, not for the adjective or superlative degree, but for the adverb, but in the adverb manner. She is the most widely read author in the genre. Most widely read, it means she is the most widely read author. It means many people read her novels. So most widely, it means mostly people, or it is read widely. It means its novels or its works are read widely. The usage of the most here indicates that among the authors in the genre, she is read to the highest degree, or she's read to the highest degree. Now, one thing is there. you can notice over here that whenever we have the most with the most superlative structure with singular noun, it indicates that it is an adjective. But if it is used with plural noun, it means several other things can also be equal to this. There it behaves like an adverb. Okay, so this you can notice in the pattern of this. However, this is not the written pattern, but you can easily analyze or notice this. Choice and usage. The choice to use the with most in adverbial form often depends on whether the intention is to convey a superlative degree, comparative among many, or to merely emphasize a very high degree without making a comparative statement. Now, this is the thing when we want to use the before most as an adverb or not the with the word most as an adverb, it depends on the situation. For example, if we want to show something that is it is on the highest degree, we can use the most. And if we want to show that it is only very very great, not at the highest point, but all the things can come along with it, so there we can use most without the. Okay. Now, conclusion. Without the adverbial most used for emphasizing a very high degree or extent, but not necessarily the highest in comparative sense. With the adverbial the most used to denote the highest degree or extent in comparative or superlative context. In summary, the presence or absence of the can change the meaning slightly from the high degree of something without the to the highest degree in comparison with others with the. Okay. Now, if I add the, it means it will make the thing at the highest level. But if I don't use the, it will make something to a very great extent, but not the highest. Okay. Now I can say that most these people are most valued in my life. Okay, but for my parents, I can say that they are the highest or they are the most important people of my life. Okay, because they are at the extent or they are at the topmost point. Okay, no one can beyond no one can go beyond them. Mostly is an adverb that is used to indicate that something is true. Now, here we'll discuss another word that is mostly. Mostly is an adverb. Now, whenever we use ly with an adjective, it generally becomes an adverb. However, it does not mean that all the times it will be an adverb. Maybe possible it will be an adjective as well. Well, how is it possible that we will discuss that we have already discussed in the chapter of adjective, and we'll discuss some concepts about that in the chapter of adverb. Mostly is an adverb that is used to indicate that something is true or happens most of the time or a great extent, but not completely or exclusively. Mostly is an adverb, first of all, that is used to indicate that something is true. Okay, mostly means true or happens most of the time. Okay, or to a great extent, but not completely or exclusive. Okay, signifying the largest part or the majority. Mostly is used to describe what is true or applicable in the majority of cases or instances. Example, the audience was mostly older people. So, mostly older people, it means the majority of the people were old. This suggests that while the majority of the audience was older people, there was also some individuals who did not fit into this category, okay, who were young. Indicating a predominant characteristic or trend, it can describe the main characteristic or the most frequent occurrence in a situation. For example, the weather here is mostly sunny. It means mostly the frequency of the weather, mostly the situation of the weather is sunny. It means mostly, it means it happens a lot more time or it happens mostly over here. For example, out of 20 days, maybe 18 days are there which are sunny, whereas 2 days are normal. Okay, so this implies that the weather is sunny most of the time. Okay, so here the word mostly shows the time duration that it occurs frequently or it is a number of times, or you can say it is the most of the time. Okay, though there are maybe occasional variations. Okay. Now, when qualifying statements, mostly is often used to add nuance to a statement, suggesting that it is not absolute. Here, her novels are mostly set in rural areas. So, mostly means number of times or a lot more time. It's set in the rural areas. Okay. This means that while many of her novels are set in rural areas, not all of them are. In comparison to most, unlike most, which is used more definitively to indicate the largest part of majority, mostly suggests a predominant but not exclusive condition. Comparison example, most of the apples are ripe, implies a large proportion are ripe versus the apples are mostly ripe. Uh, Now, if I say most of the apples are ripe and if I say the apples are mostly ripe, now when I say the most of the apples are ripe, it means a larger proportion are ripe. Okay, it means a larger, suppose there are 100 apples, so a larger you can say 95 are ripe. Okay, the apples are mostly ripe. Now, here it means that uh, you can say implies that a significant number are ripe but not. Okay, or mostly ripe means they are you can say that mostly are ripe. It means only few are there which are not ripe, otherwise mostly all are ripe. Okay, so except a few. Colloquial use in everyday speech, mostly is also used in somewhat casual manner to mean mainly or generally. I mostly stay at home on weekends. So mostly means a lot more time, or you can say number of times. Okay, or mainly or generally. With negative constructions, it can be used in negative constructions too. The story was mostly untrue. It means most of the portion of it was untrue or fake. Here it indicates that a large part of the story was not true, although some elements might be based on fact. Now we'll discuss another very important concept, that is much or many. Now these two words are very important. Okay, these are basically adjectives, and out of these two adjectives, one is used with countable, another with uncountable. Now, much is used with singular uncountable nouns, while many is used with plural countable nouns. First of all, if we say any noun as uncountable noun, it is always considered singular. So we need not write this word that is singular uncountable nouns, but we can say that there are two words, one is many and other one is much. Now, when we have these two words, after these, many is always used with countable nouns. And if because many is used for something which is more in number, okay, it means when you can say most of them. So it is obviously more than one and the noun are countable. So here we'll take the noun always plural. Okay, so many is always followed by plural noun and plural verb. Okay. Whereas if we talk about much, much is always used with uncountable. First of all, we want to show the intensity of uncountable noun, we use the word much. Now, if it is uncountable, obviously it will be considered singular. And with much, of course, noun will be singular, okay, because it is uncountable noun and the verb will be singular. Okay, likewise. Much uncountable nouns. These nouns are that usually cannot be counted as individual units. It means that they cannot be converted on the basis of one, two, three, and so on. They often refer to substances, concepts, or masses of material that are seen as singular aggregates. For example, nouns water, air, sand, happiness, information, all these are you can say uncountable nouns, okay, which cannot be counted in one, two, three terms. In fact, they can be measured. Okay, now these nouns can be measured, but they cannot be counted. There is much water in the ocean. So much water means well, you can say large amount of water. Okay, a large amount of water. Okay, much refers to large amount of something. Now, many is always used with countable plural nouns. These nouns can be counted as individual elements or units. They have a plural form and are used to refer multiple items or individuals. Example nouns, books, cars, apples, people, etc. Stars also are many. It means countable nouns because I can say there are many stars in the sky. I cannot say that there are much stars in the sky. Now, there are many stars in the sky. There are many books in the library. Books are countable and plural. The phrase many are is followed by a singular noun and a singular verb. This construction is unique because while it refers to a large number, it treats the noun as singular. Usage of many are singular noun despite referring to plurality, many are is always followed by a singular noun. Okay, Now, this is again another thing. Whenever we have a construction, there is many or many n. Okay, we can use any of the article just after many. Okay, so we can use this phrase many or many n. How do we use this? You can say after this we always have singular noun and singular form of verb. This is very very important, and you should learn it. This is very extremely very important. Okay. Um, Despite referring to plurality, many are is always followed by a singular noun. Many a student has faced this challenge. Okay, and this is very important concept. Many questions are formed from this section. Now, after this singular verb consistent with the singular noun, the verb that follows is also in singular form. Many a time has he spoken of this. Okay. Meaning the phrase many are emphasizes the individual elements within a larger number. It is a way of highlighting each unit within a collective group. It is akin to saying each of many is stressing the singularity of instances of or items being mentioned. Now, combination with nouns, it is used with a variety of nouns to articulate the idea of a large but unspecified number of people or things. We can use many a time, many a man, many a child. Okay, so we use it in singular manner always. Now, when much or many is followed by a noun with another determiner, like an article, possessive pronoun, or demonstrative, the preposition of is often used to link structure with much or with much structure is much of plus determiner plus noun. The noun is uncountable. Of course, if we are talking about much, it is only used with before the uncountable noun. So we need to put a determiner in between. For example, uh, much of the, much of the water. Okay. Now I didn't get much of the cake. Here is the determiner. The is the determiner for cake. Much of his work involves research. So his is the possessive determiner. Okay. Now, whenever we use this phrase much of, it should always be followed by a noun, but before that we should have a determiner necessary. Structure many of plus determiner plus noun with the word many, and the structure is just like this. Okay. So the noun is countable and plural. Always, of course, it is. We have already discussed that after many, we should only have countable plural noun. Okay. However, with the phrase many are or many n, the concept is different. Many of these students have succeeded. The is the determiner for these students. Many of my friends are artists. My is the possessive determiner. Okay. So this is how we can use many of or much of. Okay. Much and many can indeed be combined with words like so, as, and to in affirmative sentences. These combinations are used to modify the extent or degree of something. Much, many with so. How can we use the word so with much or many? Structure so, much, many, or noun. Okay. Indicates a great degree or extent of something. There was so much noise that I couldn't concentrate. Now, here, so and that both should come to indicate that what is actually the extent of something. She has so many books that she could start her own library. Okay. Now, I cannot simply say, if I just say, she's so beautiful, she is so beautiful, or she's so intelligent. Suppose I say, now let us take another word, she's so intelligent. But this sentence will not be correct. Okay, this sentence is not correct. Why so? Here we have only said that she's so intelligent. Now, how much intelligent? We don't know. I'm saying so intelligent. It means it shows that she's up to a particular extent intelligent. Now, how much intelligent? That we cannot state over here. If I say she's very intelligent, that is fine. But if I say she's so intelligent, now how we cannot define so over here. So, just to relate that, we have to use the word that with it. So, she's so intelligent that she qualified UPSC UPSC in her first attempt. In her first attempt. So here you can show the extent of her intelligence. Okay, first attempt. So that is why we cannot use so and adjective alone. We need to add some other word to make it. We need to add that conjunction to indicate and the clause to indicate the extent their uh, of their quality. Okay. Now, if I say there was so much noise, that is not enough. Okay, this sentence will not be completed. If you want to complete the sentence, what you should do, there was so much noise that I couldn't concentrate. Okay, so this phrase is really very important if you want to add this so. Okay. Now, we can also use the structure very much. Okay. Now, much, many with as. Now, how do we use as with them? Structure in comparatives, as plus much or many plus noun plus as. Okay. Used for making comparisons indicating equality in degree or amount. For example, we make a positive degree of adjective. So, or the positive degree, here we use as much. Okay. He doesn't have as much patience as she does. So, this is somewhere positive degree of adjective. So he does not have as much patience as she does. It means the patience of both of them are not equal. There are not as many options as I expected. It means there are not that much of that many of that much of options which I expected, or the options are below my expectations. Much and many with too much or too many. Okay, suggests that the degree or amount is excessive or more than is desirable or appropriate. I drank too much coffee this morning. So I have used the word too much, and after that I have used coffee. Now there is another thing. Whenever we use too much phrase, this is also used, or we can also use a phrase that is much too. Both the phrases can be used. How? If I want to use too much, it is followed by a noun always. Okay. But much too is followed by an adjective. So if I want to write the adjective after it, I need to write much too. And if I want to write noun, we need to write too much. This is very, very important. For example, I can say I drank too much coffee this morning. I can also say that she is much too intelligent. Okay, she's much too intelligent. So in this manner, I cannot say she's too much intelligent. However, I can say she's much too intelligent. She has too many commitments to manage. So I can also use the word too many. Now, key point so is used to emphasize a very high degree or quantity, as is most commonly used in comparative structures, whereas to implies that quantity or degree is excessive and potentially problematic. Okay. So all these are the examples of all these phrases that we have discussed. However, one phrase also is there which we can discuss. Let me tell you that there is a phrase very much. This also we can use easily. Okay. There is also word much. However, I will tell you this in later sessions as well. This much can be used with the you can say after much we can only have comparative degree of adjective. Okay. And after very much as well, we can have comparative degree of adjective. However, with very, we can use positive degree of adjective. Now we can say much better. Okay, I can say much better. Okay, or I can say very much more intelligent. Okay, or much more intelligent. This way I can say. Okay, so this is how we can use these determiners. Now, in the next session, we'll discuss some more determiners and their examples and their usage. I hope that you found this session very beneficial. And in the later sessions, we'll discuss some more determiners. So, if you want to learn more determiners, stay connected with me. Till then, thanks to you.